Hey, beautiful people. It's Coach Saraliz here, and just want to say happy Sunday and drop you guys a line. As I will be challenging myself as I speak. I kind of hold and resist, but I'm going to challenge myself to do a video every Sunday and every Wednesday, but we're going to get it done. So just wanted to take a minute and just say, happy Women's History Month. Today is the first day of Women's History. And as Black History Month, the recognition of Black History Month came to a close for many of you. It was the celebration. It's just our anniversary as Black people. So just want to remind you that Black History is 365, baby. We do things all day, every day. And it's just not one month that we celebrate. So as I digress, but happy Women's History Month, and in celebration of Women's History Month, I have on my Women of Influence shirt of Black women of influence, and there are so many more, and there are so many of you that are watching this video that are making their own right in history daily, every day, 365. So I salute you women and say, yes, let's keep going, me being one of them. So as I get into my conversation with you today, what came up for me today during my spiritual practice, my daily practice that supports me in keeping in alignment with my vision and the vision that is on my life. So part of my spiritual practice includes the reading of Acts of Faith by Reverend Dr. Iyanla Vanzant. And as you can see, this book is worn and torn because I ain't just start reading this book this year or last year. I've been doing this thing since 2008 when my sister, Kathy, hey girl, had initially introduced me to this gem. But last year, so this is my original one, but last year, Mama Ia released, or actually I should say, let me cancel. It wasn't last year. It was in 2018. She celebrated the 25th anniversary of Acts of Faith and released the new, not revised, but kind of, added what she added with some new material. And what that new material is a daily reflection, right? Because how the book, if you're not familiar with the daily meditations for colored people, it is it's marked by day. It has a quote, and then it has like a small commentary, and then just kind of like a reminder. And now what she did was she added a reflection, and it was the reflection that was like, okay, that I had to share. But what today's quote was from, it was from James Baldwin. And it says, it is impossible to pretend that you are not heir to and therefore, however, inadequately or unwillingly responsible to and for the time and place that you give your life, if I could read that, and place that give you life. Okay, let me get that right. Sorry about that. But what the commentary kind of goes into is about the things that you've learned, that you've had to unlearn and then relearn, and, just the process of life in general. And then, because we have a tendency to, daily say, well, my mama said, or, being raised in a religion or doing just tradition and different things. Well, this is how it's always been done in my family, or this is just how I am. But the reality of it is that we sometimes have behaviors that don't serve us, like anger, guilt, shame, blame. Any of those resonate with you? They sure do with me. But wanted to just kind of highlight what she said was, in the commentary, she says, focus all of your attention on the center of your being, right? And ask yourself, what is it that I must learn? The more often you ask, the more sincere you are to know, the faster your answers will come. And then the quote, the affirmation is, I am willing. This is the affirmation at the end of the commentary, of the end of the thought. I am willing to take responsibility for me. So normally, previously in my other book, I would just kind of sit with that and allow that, just kind of meditate on that. I am willing to take responsibility for me, right? Last year, I worked on one of my dominating negative thought patterns, that of being blame, honey. Yes, sometimes I be blaming people, but that It's neither here nor there. Anyway, but what I'm going to talk about is the reflection part. This reflection part was like, yeah. It said, reflect deeply on the circumstances of your life. What lessons are you learning? And secondly, are you putting those lessons to good use? So as I sat and I meditated, I asked myself, what is the circumstances of my life? And I'm so grateful to be in a space that I'm grateful for the circumstances that I currently have in my life, because it's what I've called in. Some of the things I don't really want, but I acknowledge that I called them in. But now that I have the tools and resources to be able to focus in and go forward, I am not overwhelmed by the life and the circumstances that I've called in, because it's gratitude. It might be fear that shows up, but it's gratitude. But then it asked me, what are the lessons am I learning? Because I always personalize. And I said, the lessons that I'm learning is to not underestimate my abilities, because I know what I know. My experience is my experience. I've learned to tell the truth about how I feel, not to hide it, not to, to suppress it, but to actually tell the truth about it. I've also learned that when fear shows up, rejection is what I allow myself to experience. So it's the fear of rejection that, hinders me or actually holds me back and makes me also resistant in doing social media videos. It's the fear of rejection, the fear of being accepted, just living in fear of not being enough, not being accepted, just being in a space where I'm left behind. You see, what I had to understand is that came up. And where that comes from is, honestly, some of y'all know, but most of y'all don't. I'm the youngest of 10 children. I grew up with 8 children. And although my oldest brother lived with my dad, he, came and everything. So I grew up with 8. And as the youngest, and you got all these older siblings, a lot of times you was left behind. Ain't nobody want to babysit. You at the house, anybody want to babysit you? Or whatever, because they got their own life. They teenagers, they doing their thing. It wasn't intentional, but that was what I grasped and held on to. Nobody want me around. I ain't good enough. Whatever, all the stories that I told myself before, that old stuff. But the lessons that I've learned is that when fear shows up, there's a couple things that happen. I procrastinate because I don't want to be rejected. And I procrastinate because I may not be enough. Did I mention that I procrastinate? But just to say, those are the lessons that I've learned, right? Is to acknowledge and accept how I feel. I have to become aware once it shows up, be aware of it, acknowledge it, and then accept it. And by doing those things, I am moving forward in the healing process and also in understanding myself. So then it's easier for others to understand myself. And along the way, what I've also learned is that my behavior has impacted other people and has sabotaged many of relationships. Because I didn't understand and I wasn't in a space to accept what a man was offering to me because I didn't feel it myself. Yes, I'm admitting that. So I would beat him to the punch and just be like, nah, I'm good, or keep it surface. Can any of you sisters relate to me? Because, relate to this experience. Because I would try to beat him to the purpose, or I would say, oh, I really don't want a relationship, or, oh, I'm just chilling or whatever. And what I told myself is that I was good. But in actuality, I did want a loving relationship. But it was fear of rejection, then fear of disappointment, and the fear that kept me from allowing myself to be vulnerable and to trust, I'll say, this man that showed up as my king, but I wasn't ready to accept him. I wasn't in a space to receive what he was offering because I still had work to do. So these are the lessons that I've learned, that I'm learning and that I've learned. And that's continuous process and why my daily practice is so important. And then it asked me the question, are you putting those lessons to good use? Which brings me as to the reason why I'm in front of you right now. Those lessons that I've learned is what inspired me to pursue my certification as a spiritual life coach. You see, many of you that don't know my story, in 2007, I went through a separation. And instead of blaming and pointing a finger, I asked myself, what is it that was with me that I felt or thought that was love? What was it? So I started my journey in April of 2007. And prior to a year before that journey, I started searching for a therapist because I knew something was going on, and I wanted some support in my marriage, and I wanted just to understand because I was having some health issues. My stomach, many of you that know me in my 20s, I was very ill. I was sick. I was hurting. I was just stuff happening to me. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I had a stomach issue that was so bad, they couldn't figure out what was wrong. So I went to different therapists and things and couldn't find the right one and all this stuff. But then in January 2008, actually it was December of 2007, my dear Neva Diva, who has since passed on, I love you, Neva, referred me to the LA Center with Dr. Anthony Smith in Durham, North Carolina. And it was during my first meeting that he gave me 2 assignments. One, mix up my closet. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video. Second one was to buy a book by Dr. Jan Van Zandt. One Day My Soul Just Opened Up. And it was midway through that book that I was able to see and understand that all of the mentoring that I had done, how I've shown up previously, how I was the go-to for all these young people, how I was the go-to for a lot of, early adult, young people who were early, and who were young adults, how I was the go-to for them, that this is what I should have been doing. And I want to do it someday on a larger scale. And I will be healed enough to be able to do it on a larger scale. And I want to do for others what she did for me in that book. So I set myself a goal. I set a goal to one day work with InnerVision's Institute of Spiritual Development. If you are not familiar with InnerVision Institute of Spiritual Development, please Google them and visit their website, InnerVisions Worldwide, www.org, I believe it is. So I pursued this dream and this healing process and going through, and come what may, I needed to put these lessons that I was learning to good work, because I understood that as I healed my mind, my body came into alignment, and those sicknesses that I experienced, the experience that I had where I was on the in recovery after operation, that told me at 32 years old that if I didn't get the stress under control, I would not see my 40th birthday. I was just turned 45 last month, so let me state that. And I do not have to go to the doctor the way I used to. I just get a regular checkup and that's it. And I'm good. I don't have those health issues that I used to have, because my mind, my heart, and my behavior is now in alignment. So I asked myself, am I putting these lessons to good use? And I could say yes, with a powerful yes. Because not only have I done that, but I've also led and shifted gears from business into psychology so that I could support African people to understand the importance of healing our minds, because there's such a stigma in society and in our community. And a lot of it is a stigma that's been put on us. But it is our turn to take responsibility and take full responsibility for unlearning what has been taught and learning the things that are beneficial to us, so that we may live and step into the power that we possess as African people. So Am I putting those lessons to good use? I can say yes. Because as I continue to develop as a spiritual life coach and also as a psychologist, I'm currently pursuing my doctoral degree in psychology. And as I marry the two, but spiritual life coaching, that of being my main focus, because without alignment of mind, heart, and behavior, don't matter what the mental know. That's all out of alignment. I'm still gonna experience the physicalities that come from denying myself and denying my truth. So, to support in putting these lessons to good use, I developed and am in the process of developing other courses, but I developed a webinar that I just started last February. So this past February, this last Wednesday, was my first webinar. But in February, I started developing this course, this monthly webinar that I will hold, entitled Silent Destruction: Releasing Behaviors That Quietly Destroy Your Vision. Because there were behaviors that would show up, like fear of rejection, like underestimating my abilities, like procrastination, like following and feeling that I was disappointing others, of standing in my truth and the truth of who I am as if I was leaving someone behind, because my truth is not the tradition of what has been passed down in my family. Can anybody relate? So because I'm making different choices, I now have knowledge, tools, resources to make different choices. I realized that there were still some things that were quietly destroying my vision, because I see myself here, but I was still operating here out of fear of rejection, which has kept me from being in front of the camera because of feeling like I was not going to be good enough. But I know what I know. So I decided to package that up and develop it into a webinar to share with all of you. Because I know what I know for sure is that is in my experience. If it's in the chair, it's in the room. There's people that can relate, because we are all connected in some way, somehow. So I ask you, are you taking full responsibility for your life? And what lessons are you learning? Are you satisfied with the circumstances of your life? And as you reflect on the lessons that you are learning, are you putting those lessons to good use? Are you reaching back and pulling forward? I invite you to take responsibility for your actions. I invite you to look at the circumstances of your life. I invite you to look at the lessons that you've learned. And if you're not sharing them, share them. And if it's whatever fear that it is that you may need support in, create yourself a daily spiritual practice. Join me the fourth Wednesday of every month as we discuss releasing habits that quietly destroy your vision. And how we do that is that I have a list of habits that I've experienced, and I can only speak from my experience, that I've come across that are influential in quietly destroying one's vision. And I take a poll to see which one is rated the highest. And the one that we talked about this past Wednesday was underestimating abilities. So what will we talk about next month? Join us. Be a part of the poll. Be a part of this movement to release these habits that quietly destroy your vision, because you are meant to be great. Every day you create history. Will you allow your legacy to be one of truth and authenticity as to who you really are? or a facade that you lived because because you neglected to stand for who you are, what you wanted, and where you were going, and put to use the learnings and the lessons that you've had through your life. Just something to think about, my friends. Just something to think about, my family. Just something to think about. Because every day is a day to learn, is a choice to make a decision to choose you. And it was by choosing me that I can now sit here before you, full of joy, full of peace, and grateful for the lessons that I've had to this day and those that are to come. So if you're interested in joining my webinars, visit innerhorizonslc.com/events. Click the link in the bio and join me for the webinars, or even schedule a free discovery session and we can talk. I do free 30-minute discovery sessions. If you are interested, you can visit my website, innerhorizonslc.com. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday with another video. It won't be as long, but it will be another video. Because as I do these videos, you are living me releasing my fear of rejection. So thanks. As always, I am Sarah Elizabeth Phillips, Coach Sarah Liz. Be bold, be powerful, be authentic. And the most important thing that you can be is you. Happy Sunday, y'all.